How did you feel about your birthday messages in the
Oh,
comments and
guys,
after bullying them?
guys, can you see me blushing? That's how I feel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys watching and you guys actually wishing me a happy birthday. And I hope that all of you subscribed because that was my birthday present. And as you can see, I both entered the screen and increased my volume. So I do hope that that was a sign to you that if you have not subscribed to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Super Podcast, and Podcast for Junkies. What's that last one? That last one, Sha, just know that you are wrong and you owe me a birthday present.
Maybe they just need to be convinced.
Please subscribe.
And that's our job.
Honestly,
we're going to convince them.
If not for my great humor, all the fine babes that record stuff on this podcast, all the funny guys that record stuff on this podcast, I just don't know what else you need. It means you are the problem. So
I was going to ask, how come
reflection.
the babes are fine and the guys are funny? But that's exactly what I would want in my life. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I would much rather be funny than fine. Okay, should we talk about
some of us are both.
Ladies? That's, you know what, God gives with both hands to some people. Are you ready to talk about Yellowjackets?
Yes. Let's get back to the podcast. Hello. Welcome back to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. Sorry, can I do the intro?
Continue. I'm not stopping you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll do the intro. Okay, wait. Okay. Hello and welcome to the Popcorn for Dinner podcast, where I don't know what witty thing to say about this episode. Where we eat bodies and leave the heads. I don't know. That is so graphic and terrible.
Sure.
Anyway, I'm going to hand the mic over to Bankole because clearly I've mucked this up. So, over to you, Bankole. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is this. Do it. I'll just step in when necessary. My name is Dumebi.
So you want to do the intro again? No, I think we could just go with that. It's fine. Let's go with that.
No, but we didn't talk about Severance and all the other shows that you're watching, White Lotus, Severance, that are being recorded on the Popcorn for Dinner podcast as well.
Exactly. So you've just done that as well.
Okay.
See, this is
not perfect, but we don't strive for perfection.
I strive for perfection.
Perfection is there's an adage about perfection.
I strive for perfection. I mean, I don't let a lack of perfection stop me from releasing it, but I strive for perfection. Thank you. Don't speak for me, please.
All right.
Okay.
I guess I don't strive for perfection.
What? I don't know. Just saying. Okay, we're talking about Yellowjackets, as Dumebi has eloquently introduced.
That's so rude because I didn't do it eloquently.
What if I believe was so eloquent?
Take it. You don't, obviously, because you've heard me be more eloquent.
Okay, as Dumebi did not eloquently put, we are talking about Yellowjackets. You have to pick a side. Which one do you want?
Say eloquently.
Oh, now
say it again. Start again.
This is it. I'm trying. No, this is difficult. What is this? Like, is this how you are? It's very difficult.
I'm not. I'm very easygoing. It's a lie. Okay. I can be difficult and quite demanding, and I'm proud of it. Carry on.
Okay. But yes, this is the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. We are choosing to let good things happen to us and not question it, in the words of Lisa.
That's what I mean. That's why I feel.
Yes. We're talking about Yellowjackets episode 6, season 3, written by Libby Hill and Emily St. James and directed by Pete Chapman. It is titled Thanksgiving (Canada). But before we go into the episode, what are your general thoughts? I kind of spoke last week about my kind of dissonance between the AdultJackets and the Yellowjackets storylines. I don't know if that was a feeling you particularly shared, but for you, what so far now in second half of the season, what do you think of this episode?
I do feel like this emphasized even more the point we were making about the adult jackets not being as intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the Thanksgiving scene and the cute little surprise they just threw at the end, which I was like,
Mm-hmm.
because we had been talking about the possibility of other people being on that in the wilderness,
Yeah,
and Ben finding that box of stuff and who put it
yeah,
there, where did it come from,
exactly.
etc. It was also interesting that they tried to give us caring Shauna again when she was trying to help Natalie with the feast preparation.
I mean, the bar is so low for Shauna right now that that's
The
what we're
bar is so
considering.
low. Like,
That's what we're considering as
so
scary.
what I'm saying is that they tried to
No,
bring
I
it
get you.
back, but it just
I get what
still
you're saying.
seemed a bit like you're a bitch. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It just like, oh, you should cover his for you. I usually do this, but for you, cover his face. Here you
I
go.
mean,
Start at the joints.
I
I usually do it with my eyes closed, but that's because I know what I'm doing. Okay.
I would say, and we're going to
Like,
get into that because as normal, we'll go through plot by plot. I do think Sophie
yeah.
Nellis, who is the actress that plays young Shauna, I do think her performance there did, to your point, give the impression that Shauna, maybe Shauna's better nature was taking place there, like against her own judgment. Like it was like, she was like, oh, okay, I see this is going to be tough for you, Nat. This is kind of this is the best way to do it. But for me, I think this is my favorite episode of the season so far.
mm. I
And
love the chant. That
I'm
was a
sure
bit
you,
weird.
I'm
That
sure
whole
you
thing
do.
that they were doing. I was just like,
Yeah, and I
what
think
is that? Let's
so. For
sing.
me,
That was not singing.
well, it was their way of singing. I think so. So I was saying, obviously last week I talked about how I felt I was having a problem with the adult storyline. I do think this episode, I did like that. Like the Shauna storyline kicks into gear literally in the first minute. Like, and I was like, okay, we're done with this whole. And we'll talk about it again. We're talking about this whole like Misty did this kind of thing. It's time for us to actually move the story along. And I think that's where when that happened, I was like, okay, maybe this is an episode I actually real like. I will talk about all of that. But I just
Oh, oh yeah, that was also all four of them in the car was interesting.
3, Misty wasn't there.
There we go.
Yeah. But I also I think this episode, I kind of been playing around with this idea, but this episode did confirm to me that like young Nat is my favorite character in the entire show.
I said this thing since that Natalie was my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I love Nat. And I don't remember which season I said this, but I did say that Nat is the one person I don't think ever lost her humanity. Because even at the height of her anger at Coach and her because I mean, the better thing would have been to let him be there and suffer and whatever. But she just killed him because he's suffering. And she just felt like,
Okay, I mean, let's pause. So you consider that?
and
I
oh,
guess you
and
consider that her humanity, like
I did.
okay.
I
Well,
did.
let's put a
But
pin in that.
also,
We're going
can
to
I
talk about
just
that
say,
in
so
depth.
you were right. Ben Bridge is sacrificial.
Yeah, I do have a whole lap of honor in my notes about me
Oh,
being right.
shut up.
But let's actually go. Let's actually go plot by plot as best as we can. I
Okay.
would say though, in line with my criticisms last week, if you can call them that, I think I try not to label shows that I'm watching and enjoying, if that makes sense. And I do think people
Not to
have,
label them.
yeah, I'll try and explain what I mean. And I think this show is not the show it was in season 1.
Absolutely not.
Like the show it was in season 1 was very not grounded in the sense of like realistic, but grounded in the sense of like serious. If I put it as like both the adult and the younger storylines were quite serious and heavy, and obviously still funny at times, but like quite strong. And I think the adult storyline in particular has veered into campiness in the last
Mm-hmm.
season, like since the end of season 2 and beginning of season 3. And I think that's kind of the criticism people have had, where it kind of has lost that seriousness, and I think maybe they are veering more into, because a campy show can be a great show, right? So
Yeah.
I unfortunately tend to give the benefit of the doubt to the show until you can tell me I'm wrong. So if they want to do that pivot, which I don't think is advised, but they don't do that pivot to more campiness with the adult thing, I would like to see how they kind of pull out. I think the younger storyline has maintained its seriousness and its urgency through all things, even when they might go out for a random side quest. But like, it's the adult one. I think that's kind of my problem in the first half of the season, where I was just like, the adult storyline wasn't really moving, and they were just doing comedic side plots, and Misty was getting drunk. And those things are individually not wrong, but in line with the show that we had come to expect, it felt a bit kind of like emotional dissonance. So that was just something I was thinking about again in the week between the last episode and this episode. But let's start with
No,
yeah.
sorry, just to,
No,
I
go ahead, go ahead.
guess, go back to that. So some people that, I guess, so they watch the show and they listen to the podcast. And I think the message that I got from them was that the podcast was what was keeping them going with the show. So people don't actually like that the show is moving from what was very serious, very exciting in season 1 and even season 2 into what is now seeming like just the entire adult storyline of just moving from something serious, exciting to just something just campy. And it's,
Oh
again,
no.
it's not that,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
a show can't be campy or a campy show is bad. It's just that that's not what that's not what we know Yellow Jackets to be. So
mm-hmm.
it seems like it's an evolution that's happening, but it's not very welcome. So I'm glad that at least the young jackets, the Yellow Jackets, have maintained
Yeah.
their original intrigue. Although I must say it's still kind of I think, I guess, what's annoying everybody a little bit from conversations is that why must everybody die? Why is everybody now just coming to die? Like, we don't want to see
Like the
another lost related
so
thing. Mhm.
let's stay on this for a second, because I did obviously, I theorized that, like, if it's one thing if the show is just killing them for surprise factor and some shock value or whatever, but
Mm,
if there is a reason they're dying, that could be interesting. Because, for example, Nat, right? Shauna draws the card, but then
mhm,
Nat dies. And then you could argue, even though I'm very on record as not liking the Nat death, but you could argue that was kind of the death that she had been running away from when Harvey died. Right. Is the
mhm,
idea of like, if the wilderness always comes to get you eventually, that could be
mhm.
interesting. Again, it's like, we said this last week. I don't think the Lottie story, whether I'm not on board with the Lottie dead, but I'm intrigued to see what is their reason for it. Is it that what we
I
just
just
said, that like
also think
something
they
is
need to
coming for them?
hurry up with their reason. They're taking a bit too long,
Well, I mean,
Bit too
it,
long.
it season 3 of I was actually thinking this episode. I think this might be. I think they might do a 5-season run for this show, because the way I'm thinking about it, if the
Didn't
next
they say
season
that
is,
initially?
I think this
It wasn't
did
that the
they?
plan?
I think they had like say five or six. But I was thinking about it like,
Yeah,
now
I
maybe
think they said 5.
if next season is the winter season, like for the Yellow Jackets, and then the next season, season 5, is the like what happened after they got rescued kind of thing. It's kind of, I can see that kind of structure for the seasons. Um, but yeah, to the point, like, I don't think like camp in itself is not necessarily bad, but I think it's that there could be a tonal dissonance between what we started with in season 1, but also what is happening in the flashbacks.
Not just
And
what we started with and enjoyed in
yeah, of
season
course, yeah.
1.
So, and I think it's not peculiar to that person that you're speaking to. Right? I think it's like a lot of people, that's kind of their problems with the show. And I think
What do you
even though that
guys think?
wasn't,
Comment in the comment section. What do you think?
yeah, because I
Are
think
you for
even if that
campy or
was
not?
my query, and yes, please comment in the comment section. My only thing is that I do worry if, especially in the adult thing, if veering into a more supernatural explanation of things is inevitably going to lead you to campiness. That is like, that's my only kind of big picture question, is that can you start saying that all of these things happening because of your spirit and whatever and not be campy? Can you do that? I don't know. I never watched Lost. Maybe, I don't know if Lost managed to do that, but it's like when your reasoning is a lot more realistic and grounded, and it's easier to keep the stakes here. But when you start going with like, no, it's a spirit that followed us from the Canadian wilderness, then it almost kind of has to be campy for us to actually make it make sense. But let's start with the adult jackets, as the show does. The episode starts with Shauna telling Jeff about Lottie's death, which Callie overhears. And thankfully, she immediately just gives Shauna the package. And she's like,
Callie
hey.
is starting to remind me of what's the name of this song?
Stop. You've
Tariq.
compared that. No, don't say start. You've compared Tariq like 3 times already. And I
Sorry,
think
again,
that's
I
just
guess I'm
disrespectful.
just assaulted by the glaring similarity of just
I
an
think
annoying, immature child. And maybe it's just the African in me that just sometimes feels like, shut up and sit down and obey your
would
parents. But
see
oh my
that's just like,
goodness.
yeah. Oh your goodness.
Oh
Would
my
you
goodness.
would you act differently if you were Callie?
First of all, let me tell you something.
Yes.
She's also giving me this character of, in how you watch like horror movies sometimes. And there's a difference with when you watch horror movies by like Africans or black people in terms of like how we approach danger or things that seem weird, which is typically by running as fast as we can away from it. There's no, not
Uh-huh.
trying to get inquisitive. You don't also find out what's happening. Versus when we watch like a scary movie or like, I think it's even just generally like Caucasian based horror movie where you want to know, you've heard, ooh, you want to see it with your eye.
Uh-huh.
Let me go there and investigate what's happening. I just feel like her just needing to over insert herself inside this narrative, be over concerned about what is happening is what I
Mm-hmm.
find most irritating. And I guess it's also what I found very irritating about Tarek. Just like you're too fast to want to grow up. Like relax. And actually,
So
no, this does not even concern you like that. Why did you take the tip, for example? Why did you hide it, for example? Like, what was the purpose you wanted? As in, why did you do it like that? It's like I was even
uh,
watching this show, Parenthood. And I'm sorry, let me just relate it to this. Like,
okay.
okay, someone sent something. No, it wasn't Parent. Sorry, it was The Good Wife, not Parenthood. I was rewatching The Good Wife.
Yeah.
And you know how they send photos to um Felicia. Felicia, what it was her name? What's her name?
Alicia?
Alicia, sorry. Ah, God, I beg. How they sent the photos of Peter to Alicia, and
Mm-hmm.
then it was her son and her daughter. Her son and her daughter were the ones that found the thing and then took it and hid it, and then started doing an investigation and forensic whatever into the photo. Okay, fine, I get it. It ended up being something else, but why don't you mind your bloody business? You are a
So
child. Mind your business. You know what I
um
mean? It
wait,
just,
I
yeah, it just annoys me.
so you haven't answered my question. So if you were Callie, you act differently.
Yes. Uh,
If you saw your mom almost be murdered and then one of her friends killed her other friend, you would just be like, ah, that's fine. I just move on with
for
your life.
example, no. I'm not saying I'll just be like, oh, that's fine and move on with my
Yeah.
life, but I wouldn't steer the ship. I wouldn't want to be like front and center of what is happening. For
Eh,
example, I would have taken the tape. I'd have taken the tape,
Uh-huh.
I would have listened to it, and I would have
But
given
she,
it back to her
but she
the
couldn't
same
listen
day.
to it. But she couldn't listen
Why?
to it. Because she couldn't
Then
find a tape recorder for it,
she's
a
very
tape player.
foolish. She clearly did not research well
Even
enough. And
Shauna
that's what
couldn't
I'm
find the
saying.
tape player. No, the whole thing is that these
If she
tapes are
was
old.
really that into it, she would have done her Googles.
So
She would have
all
done
you're
her Googles. She would have
saying,
gone somewhere. She would have even reached out to Van if she's somebody that is focused. She would have reached out to Van.
I'm
She would
just
have
gonna
done it in
I'm
a
just
way.
gonna I'm just gonna let you know that
No.
what you're saying is that you would have done worse than Callie did, because Callie didn't listen to it.
Yeah, but then
So
she kept it for like time. I wouldn't have kept it for that long.
like 3 days. Like
I don't know. It felt like the whole. I
but
don't know. It didn't feel like 3
so
days to me.
your only problem is that
But
she didn't listen to it and
what
return
she
it,
did?
which kind of means that you're on the
No, my
same
only no
page
no
as
my only
Callie.
no. It's no.
You
No,
have- okay.
no.
Okay.
It's also in the
Just
motel. In the motel, remember what was she saying that I think what was she saying in the motel where she was like, oh no, that I think it was before Shauna went to find was it before Shauna went to find
Is it before she
what are
puts the
those
phone in Shauna's bag?
before she put the phone
Yeah.
in Shauna's bag to record that she
Yeah.
was saying, oh, she wants even that. Like, come on.
So my thing is, again,
I can't lie, I would have done that part. I would have done
I'm
that
not trying to
part.
defend Callie, like, because I don't really care like that, but like, because she's right, she's involved in this, and Shauna is
Yeah, but is she
clearly
involved in
hiding
the way
things.
of like she's not as involved as Shauna and
I'm just saying, if I
Lottie and
walked,
everybody else.
yeah,
And that's what I'm saying. Like
Ross,
you're involved to the extent that you're the daughter, this affects you, they can also kill you, they can kill your mom. If they kill your mom, it affects you, da da da.
yes,
But you shouldn't be expectant to have the same level of access to information
but
as
she has no
Shauna and
access to
co.
information. Like Shauna
Yeah, obviously. But
is telling
then
her and Jeff
she's
nothing.
yes, I get that. But what I'm also saying is it's even better for Jeff to demand the level of information that they're demanding. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is that at the end of the day, you're a child. I need to factor in that your parents will probably not tell you everything as you think you are ready for it, because you might not even be ready for it. And I say this to be honest, remembering that they had to tell her that they killed somebody and she took it well.
See,
She took it like a
here's
champ.
the thing, that's fair. I
I don't
understand
know.
what you're saying. But I'm just saying, if I was in that position where you're giving me all this information, and then I walked in and I saw my dad almost be killed by his friends, and then one of his other friends killed it, and you just like iced me out, I would be like, you need to give me more information. And then Lottie comes and Lottie dies. I'm just like, are you guys, I'm just meant to act like nothing is going on. Like, either you tell me what's
No, they should
going on
no
or I go find
Shauna. The
out
way Shauna
myself.
is behaving is an extreme. It's also not
Yeah.
acceptable. But I'm just saying that
So I
Callie's
think it's,
approach is also irritating.
yes, but I think it's Shauna's approach brings about Callie's approach.
No, but Shauna's the mom. Honestly, if I feel like as your
It's
mom,
very,
I need
very
to
Nigeria
protect you
coded
from.
of you. That like
That's what I'm saying.
that
That's
as
what
the
I'm
mom,
saying. I'm
she's
saying maybe
correct
it's my
eventually.
Nigerianness that's just
Yeah.
like, again, come on, will you sit down and shut up?
So I don't spend too much time on Callie because I didn't think we're going to spend that much time on Callie. But
Okay.
Shauna brings in Van and Tai because Van is the one that has access to like a DAT tape, a DAT tape.
Can I just say Van is so cool? But yeah, carry on.
She is cool.
I like
Shout out
Van.
to Farida who loved Van last season. Anyway, so they played the tape, and by my
We miss you,
understanding,
Farida.
what do you take? What do you think that tape was? Because I think there's an understanding. I want to know what your read of that tape was.
I feel like the way it was sounding like it was something that happened in the wilderness. But it's
Okay,
also just like, how
so
did that happen?
I think it's exactly what we saw in this episode.
Oh, the when they come and they see the feasts going on.
No. So I think what we hear in on the tape is them shouting and wailing and everything in this episode. And I think that no, don't do this. Please stop. Don't do that. You're not going
You
to edit
said
the
it was the
episode.
type of singing.
Please. I didn't see that. It's like that's.
Oh, guys, a fun fact: Bankole used to act. Bank's
Used to
actually a good
is.
actor. Do you still act?
Can we focus on what we're talking about? Like, where's
But
your
I'm just
brain
saying,
going?
Bankole is an incredible actor. I just
Incredible
remembered
Sims.
because I used to act, so I just remember that.
I get. Oh, Dumebi is an incredible actor. I sorry, I missed the cue of what you're trying to do there. Yes,
No, I
guys,
wasn't
Dumebi
trying
is
to say that I'm an incredible
I'm
actor.
just
I'm just trying to
Dumebi is an
tell you that
incredible actor.
Bankole
Um,
actually
So
Bankole records podcasts, watches stuff. He acts, he
cutting all of this
directs,
out.
he screenwrites.
Cutting all of
Mhm.
this out. So
Don't cut it out.
my
I will still put if I listen to this thing and I don't hear this point, I will write it in
my
the comment section. And guess what? I will research links and I'll add them.
my
Let
so
me
my
have warned you
idea. Oh my
seriously.
god, my idea is that my thinking is that those tapes are from the people that we do see coming at the end of the episode, and I think it's them recording pre the Yellowjackets screaming and singing and all of that stuff, and then so I think that
Mm.
recording is there, and then obviously
I
Van
wonder if
says
go ahead.
yes. No, Van says that the only people that know about this are either us or
Us
dead.
or dead.
So I guess those visitors, I give them 2 episodes max to still be
But
alive.
who do you think would have been recording it?
Well, we'll get to that when we talk about the other jackets, when we get to that scene. I'll kind of finish with the adult storyline first. Van and Thaisa. So
Yes.
a peek behind hold on. A peek behind the curtain of how we do this is that you watch Yellow Jackets episodes and then you text me furiously and I don't respond because I like to save everything for the podcast. So one of the things you messaged to me is Shadow Tai the one in control? Do you want to like expand on that, build on that? Why did you get that from this episode?
She's not emotionally connected. She's only emotionally connected to Van. And that's because she's in love with Van. But even in her like interactions and engagements with Van, she's not giving. Van is typically very good at convincing Thaisa to do what Van thinks that they should do. Even if
Mm-hmm.
it takes some time, Van is a Thaisa convincer. Except when it is Shadow Tai.
Mm.
When it's a Shadow Tai is very robotic. I am here for a purpose and a function. That purpose and function will be satisfied. I feel like with everything that has happened, typically Tai would have been a bit more panicky and
Mm-hmm.
Van would have been the one like calming things down or like reasoning things or whatever. In this instance, Tai is just fine. And like I think Van was saying, like, we're just chowing, sleeping, or doing we are just like shit happened. How far?
Mm-hmm.
And then you
Mm-hmm.
know that scene with Van removing stuff from the box and getting
Mm-hmm.
this like really strange phone call, and she was like, Tai?
Mm-hmm.
So and then the bedroom scene where they were sleeping, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden, like the real Tai jumps on his head and like calls her like, help me, like help. And
Mm-hmm.
then like it's like she inhales and goes back. And you know, I feel like I told you that Tai has this dissociative personality disorder thing where
Mm-hmm.
like another personality kicks in when they think you need defense, but sometimes your real self is trying to fight to come back. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's what's happening here. But
So
Shadow Tai doesn't want to let her come out yet because Shadow Tai probably feels like she still needs some kind of protection or she still needs to do something, which is making me feel like, was it Shadow Tai that killed Lottie? And then for whatever reason that maybe Shadow Tai felt like he needed to step in and push Lottie down the stairs. And is Shadow Tai still there to prevent Thaisa from saying that she's the person that killed Lottie, even to Vanessa? I don't know. That's just how my mind was wandering when I was texting Bankole and being
okay,
ignored by him.
so that's what I tend to do. Let me
Sad to
kind of
say.
pull on a few things you said there. So first of all, I am hesitant to give like DID or any medical term to what Thaisa is dealing with, mostly because I do think doing that then makes it a more realistic explanation as opposed to quote unquote the wilderness. Um so but then but
But
to
I
the
don't think
bedroom
it's
scene.
mutually exclusive again. I just don't think it's as mutually exclusive as you like to do. It's not church and
If it's
state.
DID or anything, again, please let us know if we're using the wrong terms here. If it's something like that, then you can't then it's that. It's not It's not something spiritual or wilderness. It's just that.
Yeah, but sometimes it's not something that triggers that thing. Once it is the wilderness that triggers the wilderness, not condition and effect.
Well, I think if the wilderness is as strong as it is, it can just do it itself. It doesn't have to trigger some mental
Are you a
disorder.
witch? Are you a witch or a wizard? Do you have superpowers?
No, I can't confirm or deny that on podcast. But also, I do think that bedroom scene, what Taisa is saying there, I think that's what Van hears on the phone. So,
But it doesn't happen at the same time. Oh, okay.
yes. So I
But
think,
how did Tai call her? Because Tai appeared like literally like 2 seconds
look,
after.
so maybe, do you want to go all in on this spiritual thing or not? Like, this is
How
like,
dare you quote me to me? Are you insane?
I'm just saying.
How
I'm just
dare
saying.
you quote me back to me? Are you
You
crazy?
you
Can you
can't be bringing
imagine?
up. You can't bring
Uh,
up realistic questions if you want to, because if you want to go all in, then let's go all in.
I
Because
said it's not mutually exclusive. How can you say I should not bring
I'm just
it
saying,
up?
I said, okay, maybe she's getting a call from Ghost Future Tai. I don't know. I don't know what's going on because
Fair.
Taisa is clearly not in the room.
But it could
So
also be that maybe Tai was the dominant. I don't know, what do we call the real Thaisa? Tai? I guess Tai was like maybe dominant for a second, did a quick call. But then again, that phone wasn't
no,
connected to shit.
that's
So
okay.
it couldn't
Let me
be. It's
put
the
it.
wilderness.
Let's put it plainly. Let's put it plainly. If that did happen and wasn't in Van's head, that call did not happen at the same time that we're like Taisa did not make that call. It's not possible. She was like 2 seconds away from somewhere else. Like, so if that is real and not something that Vine has imagined, that call came from a different realm. That call did not come from like the Taisa that we see 2 seconds later. Let's just have that straight up.
Well, how did
So
Thaisa from a different room call Van
I
on her
don't
phone?
I don't know. But again, if you're gonna go all in, go all in. So I do think it was the same in my head. It was the same thing that, because I think Taisa says help me in both situations. It's like Van help me. So it seems very
Help
the same thing.
me!
On the Shadow Tie front, I didn't catch this, so it's good on you for pulling that. And I like your explanation about her lacking kind of emotional connections with everybody else but Van.
Thank
Um,
you. I add
people
value.
people on the Reddit pointed out that conversation with Sammy last week and said that was an indication that it was Shadow Tie, because Sammy says to Taisa, "Are you not my mommy anymore?" And then he walks off. And obviously, the way we can interpret this and the way Taisa interprets this is like, this is a child of divorce, and it's like, are you still my mom? Like, what's going on? I'm not living with you. But obviously, we do know that Sammy is someone that he has always known when Shadow Tai was around. So he could
Yes.
literally have meant, are you not my mom anymore? Are you now the other one? Are you the bad one? So that could
Yes,
have
I
been it.
agree.
I've had lots of problems with Taisa this season. And if the
You've had
answer is
loads
that,
of problems with Thaisa.
yes. But if the answer is that it's Shadow Tai that we've been seeing this season, that makes lots of sense to me. And it kind of like puts all the things I've kind of had issues with in context and makes sense, because lots of things are like just her as a character and her characterization and kind of how she's interacting with other characters. But again, if it's Shadow Tai, like you said, then that does make a lot of sense to me. Let's wrap up the Adult Jacket storyline by talking about Misty, because Misty and Walter's investigations
Misty's
lead
getting some
to
balls.
the investigations lead to Lisa, and then Lisa does one thing. She answers one question for us. Lisa confirms that the money that Lottie withdrew was for her, right? And she says Lottie gave her $50,000 in cash, which gives very strong "I know I'm about to die" energy. So let's kind of like, let's table that. Like, when you start giving out 50K out, you probably know that somebody's coming for you. But then she also confirms in part of the whole murder mystery thing that Lottie and Taisa met that day.
Shadow
Yeah,
Tai. So are you here saying that Thaisa could have killed them?
I still don't think it's anybody that I don't think it's any of these people. I think it to be. I think we're just gonna keep on getting clues. I feel like it's gonna be somebody else. I feel like it's gonna be somebody else.
Why? But who? What do you
Do you
think?
have anything you want to say? I don't know. I don't think someone we've seen. I don't think it's someone we've seen so far.
Oh. when this whole Taisa thing was happening, I was like, this babe could be her.
Do you have anything you
Could
want
be
to
her.
touch on with the adult jackets that we haven't discussed?
Again, just to reiterate, adult Shauna is really irritating. Just to put it out there again.
So
I like
you
that
didn't think she was
Missy.
better this episode?
She's just been annoying me. Like, even I just feel like she's been such a bitch. So even when she's here just trying to just not be a bitch, I just still find it irritating.
So,
I think
so
she's doing to me what Jeff was doing to me in the beginning seasons.
it's
I
just
didn't really
wrong.
like Jeff. I thought he was really
Just
irritating.
just an objectively wrong opinion.
That's your business. If you don't
Uh,
know, people tune into this specific Yellowjackets for my hot takes. So
it can be hot and
I'm
wrong.
telling you.
Nobody's like it's just wrong.
But so you felt like she was better this episode?
No, I was talking about Jeff. Oh, but yeah, I did. Like, my main thing with Shauna, I have never minded Shauna being a bitch. I think I like Shauna being a bitch. That's what I want Shauna from Shauna, the adult Shauna especially. But my main problem with Shauna this season has been she's been very immobile as a character. Like all these things are happening to you, and you just do.
Stiff.
Yeah, and then also she's been blaming Misty for no reason, like no reason. So
Yeah.
the fact that this episode kind of took her out of that, and she was just like, it's obviously not Misty, it's somebody else, somebody's coming for us, we need to find out who this person is. It put her in action mode, which is what I want from Shauna. So that was that kind of helped me. Yeah. Like I don't like I'd like Shauna being a bitch as long as it's not to anybody that is not like
But
one of our
I
core
feel like
group.
Shauna has kind of always been a bitch. But
That's what I'm saying. I like that. That's
bitch.
what I
I
want.
prefer bitch Shauna in season 1 to bitch Shauna now. I don't know what it is about bitch Shauna now that is upsetting me.
I mean, we've said this. So like I think one is that she was being a bitch to a clearly wrong target in Misty.
Are we gonna make that a tag, bitch Shauna?
No, I'm not gonna do
Because I
that.
saw you use Ben Bridge and you didn't give me credits for Ben Bridge.
The credit is by using Ben Bridge. That's the credits. Because anyone that listens will know that you're the one that came up with it. So that my credit to you
And
is by
people that did
using
not
it.
listen, uncle.
Then why are we trying to appease people that are not listening to us?
Because of my IP. What do you mean?
Okay, you're a lawyer. Go trademark it. I mean, much good that would do considering Ben Bridge is dead. And on that note, let's talk about the past 1997. This episode kind of centers around Coach Scott's weeks-long plea to be killed, and then eventually his hunger strike. Melissa and Shauna have also done their like hard launch of their relationship. So I mentioned that Nat is my favorite character, and I think I can come out and say that now. And I have talked about the last week I was like, I like these characters going through emotional turmoil, right? I like to see that kind of character growth and development. And I think this episode kind of crystallizes. It's not really masochism, it's just good story. Nat starts this episode by saying that there is no way I'm taking their hope of going home away by killing Ben, and then she ends the episode by doing exactly that, despite knowing what that would mean for both her and the group. And I think that is kind of like emotionally heavy actions that I'm interested in and I want to see the show kind of like deal with. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, first of all, random side question. Do you believe him when he says that he was going to try to burn down the cabin?
That's a really tough question. Because, we kind of talked about this before where I thought like maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was the wilderness's effect on him. But he was so descriptive. But I feel like he was also just speaking to trigger her, to annoy her and provoke her into action. But he really provided great detail.
I actually don't think he provided that great detail. I think he just said obvious things, but I have confirmation bias, so I'm choosing to believe that he was saying the truth until it's revealed that it was Shadow Tai that was doing it, and then we can move on.
Is that what they're saying on Reddit? That it was Shadow Tai that tried to burn the house
Not
down?
that I know of. I don't live on the Reddit. I just go once in a while. So I do think it was Coach Ben, but I think if it's not him, then I think my left field theory is that it was Shadow Tai that did it for a reason I have no idea. Let's talk about Coach Scott quickly. because I do think Steven Kruger, who plays Ben Scott, I think he's been really good these last 2 episodes. I think this was a good send-off for him. I still kind of find it hard to believe that Coach Scott is actually finally dead. Like we kept on going like, oh, he won't last this season. He
If
won't last
we're
this
really
season,
giving
and
into
then
the supernatural thing, maybe he'll come back to life.
he's dead. I don't think we're that fine. I don't think we're entering that kind of.
No, but
Fans are
imagine if
already
they did
angry
that
with the
though.
show. Fans are already
Imagine if they
angry
did
with the
that.
show.
They said, well, we're gonna give you the resurrection
No,
just in
that'll
time
be
for Easter.
just in time for Easter. Yeah, so I do find it's a bit. I'm like, oh wow, he's actually dead. After all saying like, there's no way he's lasting season 1, no way he's lasting season 2, and then now he's actually finally dead. Speaking of Reddit, actually, I did see this other theory on Reddit. Where obviously, like you mentioned, my theory was that he needed to be sacrificed, right, for them to kind of leave the island. But we do know they're not going to leave the island for at least another like kind of like 6 to 7 months. So, but I saw the theory that like Aquila and Lottie actually misunderstood the vision. That obviously they read it as, oh, he's their bridge home, but actually maybe he was more of their connection to the past and civilization, that once he goes, then they devolve into the barbarity. Does that make sense? Like his presence, him being alive is their tether, is their totem to who they were. But once he's no longer there, then they have no kind of connection to that part of their lives anymore. And now they go into barbarity.
I guess that would make sense considering the whole reaction to his to him being on the stand.
Do you have any thoughts about his hunger strike, them force feeding him, which was a very tough scene to watch? Kind of like Nat and Misty's emotional turmoil this episode.
That was a difficult scene to watch. The force feeding.
Yeah.
With the tubes and stuff. Very difficult to watch.
I felt like it was difficult for them as well, which I like that the show did not shy away from that.
Yes. And I think it was a good scene. It was a good scene. What was your question to me again?
Just if you had any general thoughts about his kind of like his sequence of events this episode. I think,
I don't know. I just felt like something that has also been interesting for me to see is just the like degradation of dignity. I just felt like in that moment, there's just no dignity. You're covered in piss and shit. Yeah.
So for him, not.
Yeah, for him, you're covered in piss and shit. You have a pile of food that's like probably decaying, you haven't been eating. And they've given you, what the fuck was in that mash? What was that liquid?
Blended up.
Blended.
Wilderness blending.
Oh my goodness, don't be ridiculous. Like a smoothie.
I mean, it was a version of a smoothie. It was a version of a smoothie.
Blended.
So,
but yeah, I just thought that was just, I don't know. It was a lot because you could see he cried. No, he cried. He cried. And like even the people that like shoved it in, it was so like.
It was a lot for them. Even Shauna.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was because it's a.
Even Travis, wasn't Travis that said that's so fucked up?
Yeah. Travis was all out of this a long time ago.
Yeah.
You could see that it really kind of shook all of them. I do, yeah. And I like that. I like that the show didn't just make it seem like put it to you, push it down, let's go. Like this kind of really kind of affected all of them. Even Aquila, who's not there, but she kind of feels like she's responsible. She's the reason this is happening, right? And before we talk about his death and after, do you? Because I don't have any thoughts. So let me know if you do. Do you have any thoughts about Aquila's vision?
Which vision is this?
This is when she goes back to the cave and she sees them kind of like playing around, and then there's like a claymation stop motion bear that comes into the camp. We can't, like, I have no thoughts. I'm just gonna let the show me what they want to say.
But isn't the bear the I feel like that kind of looks like what happened though. they were eating Ben. God, they were eating Ben. And
Yeah.
then they start doing this sort of, I don't know, chanting, singing thing. And, moving around, like, if, like everyone, like, I think it kind of diffused the tension.
Mm-hmm.
Because even the people that seemed uncomfortable when they started chanting and doing their singing or whatever, you could see it was almost as though things eased up
Well, it's a
and they
release,
were
right?
getting
It's
a
a
lot
yeah.
more into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that to me was like reminiscent of like the playing in the vision. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden, these random people just show up and Lottie
So
screams, no,
mm-hmm.
like, no, and then just stops. And they're all like quiet, sort of like just, I don't know if the right word to use is pensive, but like just waiting. They're
I thought
not,
they were stunned. I thought they were more stunned than anything. But
yeah. But it's
yeah,
like, it's
pencil.
like no sudden movements. And I felt like if a
Fair.
bear just
Okay.
enters
I like that.
a
Yeah.
scene, you don't, no sudden movement. You're just
I
also
like
like, so that's
um
how, and that was kind of like what you could see from Akila's vision when the bear started coming. They were just kind of like watching. It was almost as though it was like freezing it as it was moving. So
yeah,
when I saw that, I was just like, okay, so are the visitors like the bear?
that's fair. I like that interpretation. That's a good interpretation. Um
You know
see you
me,
add
always
value you add
adding
value.
value. I add value,
Um
period.
so so Nat can't take it anymore and then she decides to go kill Ben. Um Also, I can't believe Travis
Period.
and Nat are still like doing this their broke broken up thing. Like,
They're trying
can
now.
you imagine having an ex partner in the wilderness when you guys, will you guys fix up and fix your shit? Like,
I
so
mean,
you're just
I
going to be
don't know.
single? No, no, no.
Unlikely.
I would,
Unlikely. I
imagine,
feel like you guys will mend things up,
you have to mend
even
things
if
up.
it's just for the wilderness, just for the
Yes.
cold.
People mend things up for COVID. Like, you mend things up, please, please.
People stayed for COVID.
you are,
People stayed for COVID.
so you just be living alone because you people fought. I beg. But no. So Travis understands obviously, and he tells her to go do what she needs to do. So I mentioned this last week, and I don't want to harp on it because to be I don't want to be that kind of person. But like, it's my question now is, how does Misty, like, what happens between this point and when they leave that Misty is able to forgive Nat for killing Ben to the point where she calls Misty her best friend? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're doing these kind of things that are so
Or
fucked
cause
up and
Nat her
so,
best friend.
yeah, it's like, how does she
I
go
guess
from
because, Misty is a real one. And Nat is a real one. I just feel like real recognizes real. And I just feel like, I didn't know what's funny, but that's actually what I firmly believe. And I just feel like no matter how upset you can be with Nat, I feel like what's always clear with Nat is that she always has the best intentions. So no matter like the big things that Nat does
mm-hmm.
that can be annoying, frustrating, etc., I feel like what is always clear and what people can always see is she always has the best intentions. And at every given moment, she does what she thinks is right. And I feel like with Nat, what I've really enjoyed is even when she's done like fucked up things, you can see the struggle. Like she's just a human being, just like knowing that fuck, this is fucked up, but we gotta do
So
it.
so you're assuming that Misty would get that kind of enlightenment and be like, oh, Nat,
Oh, I think
uh,
Misty is enlightened as fuck. I think so.
fair. Maybe I'm
I think
overthinking all of
Misty is
this.
probably the most intelligent person out of all of them there.
That's fair. Maybe I'm overthinking of this. Lottie crowned Shauna as the new queen.
Let
This
Shauna lead us.
this was
Shauna lead
interesting.
us.
This was interesting to me because we've always kind of
Why?
thought that, like, we knew that Shauna was going to be a queen, right? Not even the new queen, just a queen.
Mm-hmm.
But we, or at least I have always thought it was going to be like a succession kind of thing. but it's actually
Why?
more of a succession. Like I thought Shauna
Hasn't
was
it
gonna
been
get.
Shauna that Lottie that has been picking all the queens? Lottie has
Well,
been
she
the kind
picked
of
she picked
queen
Nat,
maker.
but the way it
And now
worked,
she's picked Shauna.
but the way it looked prior to this was that Shauna was going to get her own acolytes, and they were going to break off because they were going to be so anti what Nat was doing. I didn't know that it was going to be almost a quote unquote democratically elected follow up.
Elected?
Well, that's what I'm
This
saying,
was
quote
an
unquote.
appointment.
Well, yeah. So just do you get what I'm trying to say? Like I thought it was going to be two
Mm.
warring factions, but really it's just a new leader of the
It's not
same
too late
faction.
now.
No, I think that will still happen, but it might not be Shauna versus Nats.
Because I feel like, for example, we don't know what happens to these people, these visitors. We don't know if they're the ones that are going to
I
take
give them
them
2 episodes.
back
I give them
home.
2 episodes. They're not the
You
ones
don't
taking
know
them
if
back
they're
home.
going to, like, attack them. You don't know if they're going to collaborate. You don't know if they all die. You don't know if those people kill someone there. You don't know, right?
I think they are dead by episode 9. Let me just put that out there.
All three of them.
Yes. Okay, so let's talk about
Bit
them.
brutal.
Let's talk about the people that, because the episode ends with maybe one of the most shocking and bewildering cliffhangers the show has done, because it just kind of like it's one of these, maybe it's not that shocking because we kind of theorized it, but it's also like if these guys were here, like it puts so many question marks in the equation, right? It's like if these guys came like a year into your stay, why were you still there for another 6-7 months? We won't talk too much about
Fair.
it, obviously, because we don't know anything. We've only seen them for 5 seconds. One of them is played by Nelson Franklin, who I feel like if you've watched TV, you've kind of seen him in different places.
Is that
I think maybe
Community?
was he in Community? No. He was in New Girl.
New
Played
Girl!
He played one of
Wait,
Jesse's boyfriends, and
is this the chubby-ish one?
I don't know, the tall guy with glasses. Is he chubby?
Oh,
I
yes,
don't.
ish. He has a
I don't.
chubby-ish face.
I don't describe men by
Chubby
their
is
body
not,
types.
whatever. Chubby is not a bad word. Carry on.
I
I'm
never said the word.
chubby.
I just don't describe men by their body types. Um. So my thinking of these people is that they're kind of like wildlife documentarians or something of the sort,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know. It's very, all of this, by the way, guys. All of this is just theorizing. It's just very interesting because like they seem very normal and they don't seem like people that are
Mm-hmm.
like stranded. So
So, even if
quick
somebody's seen them, how would they help them?
yeah. So okay, quick spoiler for Triangle of Sadness. If anyone wants to watch the movie Triangle of Sadness, skip like 15 seconds because I'm about to spoil it. But in that movie, they get stranded on an island, right? And then they
Mm-hmm.
kind of devolve into their own factions and everything. But then the movie ends with them finding out that there's like a resort like 10 minutes down the road on the island. Like, it's one
Fuck
of those
off.
things. Yes, it's one of those things where I'm just like, oh, what if Yellowjackets are doing all of this crazy shit, right? But they're just like 5 minutes down the island road. It's just like people that are just like frying their
A
plantain
whole village. Oh my
and eating
goodness.
maize.
Oh my
it's one
goodness.
of those.
Having some
It's just,
pancakes with maple syrup in
yeah. So
Canada.
I don't, obviously I don't think that's what's gonna happen, but it was just a funny thing. And that was kind of the first thing that came to my mind when these guys come, because it's like, oh, to these guys, they are not stranded. Assuming, I'm theorizing, they're not stranded, they just walked in and they're doing their work, and then they just turn
Mm-hmm.
around and these girls are like eating a human body and like shouting at fire. I can't imagine how fucked up I would be so scared if I just walked and I saw that. I would be like, what's going on?
Like, what is happening?
Imagine you, like you travel to the Caribbean, Cuba, anywhere like a desert, not desert, like a jungle country. And
Hmm.
you're doing your stuff normally.
Can't
And then
imagine it to a
you
jungle
just
country with wildlife,
but
free
okay,
roaming
let's
that can attack me. Oh my
a
goodness.
safe place. But then you're just on a expedition, and next thing you know, you just see these kids shouting
Mm-hmm.
at the fire and like eating human, like just like it's like you walked through a wormhole and you're out of civilization. I can't imagine
Yeah.
how scared they were. But
Now, can I say one of my favorite scenes is the guy realizing that there's a plate of a head on a plate right beside him. And to be honest, that might have even been why they were like frozen. Like, will he look right and see it or left and see it? Or maybe they were
yeah,
thinking, God, we have to kill him now.
but that's the thing. They logically cannot think that because because that's the help they've been waiting for.
Mm.
Because the main question is why do the Yellowjackets not go back home with these people? That's the main question.
But
That's what we need to
maybe
figure
not
out.
all of them are united in their thoughts, and maybe that's why.
So that's the thing. No, that's the question because like all of them should want to go home. All of them want to go home, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
what happens that stops the Yellowjackets from going back home with these
No,
guys?
see, if for example they had not just prepared a feast and put the head of a human being on a table, it's different. If oh my gosh, they were just singing, but maybe I don't know, they were eating a rabbit or something, and those people coming and they're like, okay,
So
cool. But then you have
uh,
come and you've literally seen the head, so that means that when you take them back to civilization, what are you gonna say? That you saw that they had a head on a plate?
so you're saying the Yellowjackets would not go back home with these guys at the risk of like prison?
Yes,
If
maybe.
you were
Yes.
in that
I feel
position,
like
would you make that decision? Would you rather stay out in the wilderness than go back home and like stand trial?
it depends on how much whether I have money for lawyer to a good lawyer.
I don't. Please,
for
I'll
a
go
good
back home.
for a good lawyer that will say basically what happened in the wilderness was as a
I
result
mean,
of
look, I do think they're gonna
insanity or
kill.
something, or like
They're
it
gonna
was a
kill these guys.
suspension of
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Which I'm
You
saying,
feel
like,
like they're
I would
gonna kill them.
personally, I would rather take the risk. But I think they're gonna kill them. I think, like, because we know they have one more winter. We know they're doing one more winter there. So that's like
Mm,
it's said. So me, that's why the tricky question is like, why do they not go back home with these guys? What happens? How does it happen? Um,
yeah.
and like I said earlier, I think these are the guys that's have the tape.
Mm-hmm.
How the tape
Or you
left, because again, Van was like investigating or googling. She was like, how long does a tape can a tape survive outdoors, a DAT tape? So it's like, how does this tape
oh I
get
missed
out
that.
from in bed? How she was doing when before Taisa came out. So it's like, how does this tape go from these people, whatever they were doing, to 25 years later being sent to Shauna's house? So it's like, yeah, I'm intrigued to kind of see
I even like
what
who
this
sent it.
means. hmm Um,
Who sent it? And if it was at the wilderness, who brought it back? I have so many questions on that tape. I want to know the story behind the tape, but I want to know how it left the wilderness, how it got back to the city,
yeah,
and then how it got to Shauna, and why
and
they sent it to Shauna and no one else. Maybe because she was
yeah,
the queen in that moment.
fair,
Because she was the
yeah, and
queen, right?
hopefully this guy's presence will explain the like story of the food supplies and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, no, like I said, this is my favorite episode of the season so far. Um, I'm hopeful that now that like things are moving, they will actually just keep on moving, and we're not going to spend another 3 episodes of like Shauna be like, oh, it's all Misty's fault. Um, yeah, just a quick shout out to Jeff and his line reading of like, I almost called the police, and you know how I feel about the police now. Um, but yeah, anything else you want to that we haven't touched on?
Anything else? No, not really.
Yeah,
No.
okay, so we can leave it there, kind of there. I think I'm
Just
making my peace, not really peace because I was okay with it, but like, yeah, this show is kind of, I don't think it's veering way more into camp, and hope, like, again, I love campy shows, so hopefully it can kind of figure out that balance that it wants to do. Um, because I do think like the Yellow Jacket storyline is going to remain the same. Is the
mm,
adult storyline that is a bit kind of where do we want to be? Where do we want to stay?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, okay. See you next week, maybe.
Yes, so everyone, you know the usuals. Like, subscribe, comment, share. We asked a couple of questions, so please get in the comment section. And also just to say, actually, Bankole responded already saying that we're in different time zones. So typically when it comes out for you guys, I am fast asleep. So sorry that I cannot do, what is it, live chat, whatever with you guys. I will try to stay up this Friday so that I can do it on this episode, but please don't be upset if I don't. Sleep often wins, but
to be fair, I do think
thank you so much.
I do think it's more of like very early your time. I don't think you should stay up. I think if it like that's quite early your time.
It's
So
not like, oh, like maybe 3,
no,
like 2
it's maybe like 6 your
a.m.
time, 6, 7, yeah.
or like midnight for
Yeah.
the US.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, if Bankole reminds me, I'll
How has
be
this
up
become
and
on me?
I'll be up and I'll do responses. So if you don't see
Okay.
me, blame Bankole.
I probably wouldn't be up or I
And
won't
also, can
respond.
I just say, you guys, this
But
is
as
all
always,
my real hair. So
why are
comment
you
on if you like my hair
don't
in the
comment about
comment
her hair.
section.
I'm wrapping up this conversation. As
So
always, if you comment,
yes,
I will respond to it.
we
But
will
yeah, thank you.
respond.
Thank you so much everyone who's
Thank you all.
engaged with both our video and audio episodes. And yeah,
Yes, thank
let us
you.
know
Let us
if
know.
you have any questions, or if you have any queries about our coverage, not just the show, let us know in a nice way.
Any
In a nice way.
theories,
Um,
any,
okay.
additions, challenges, but always kind and respectful. This is a kind and respectful podcast, so please always be kind and respectful
Okay.
with your delivery and your comments. And like, share, subscribe, speak about it on Reddit, speak about it on Twitter. Our socials are Popcorn for Dinner Pod. Right?
I don't
Is
think
that correct?
I don't think so.
Shit. Popcorn for Dinner Podcast.
I mean, that's it, but I don't. That's not the handle. That's the name on all platforms. Yeah, so just search that.
Search Popcorn for Dinner Show. You will see it there. What's the
Mm.
handle? Have I not tried? If you know the correct one, why don't you plug it in here?
I never said I did. This is all you. You're the one. You're going off on your own.
So as I've said, like, share, comment, subscribe. We will like, share, comment, subscribe. Thank you again, everyone, for telling me happy birthday and for asking how my birthday was. It was great. I had some of my best friends around.
No, we're not doing this.
It was
Bye,
lovely.
guys.
So thank you guys so
I'm not
much.
doing a recap of your
Bankole
birthday.
obviously hates me, although I did see Bankole on one of my birthday, on a day close to after my birthday, and he was really lovely. That was when we recorded the Friday
Can we end the episode now? I don't want to do a recap of your month.
Thank you so much to all. As you can see, I'm clearly the person that appreciates you guys more, seeing as Bankole is trying to cut off this conversation. But yes, see you again for episode 7. For episode 7. Hopefully episode 7 is even more exciting than episode 6. Okay, toodaloo.
Bye, guys.